Spiritual Bullshit with Tigmonk and Maya Lila. Enjoy!
Oh my goodness, welcome to the program. This is Spiritual Bullshit, your original bullshit podcast.
You know, I think we might have to do something with the title for iTunes, because that might be a reason why they never responded to me. That bullshit is in the name,
right.
And then it's like it's already out there, and there's no explicit warning. So we might have to call it like Spiritual BS for iTunes.
Oh, that's true.
So I'm gonna try that. I haven't
Okay,
yet.
we'll try Spiritual BS.
Yeah,
but
we'll still call it Spiritual Bullshit. But just for iTunes, we can say Spiritual BS maybe.
Okay.
I'm not sure how it's gonna work.
Well, welcome to the program. My name's Tiger Singleton, aka Tigmonk, and right here to my left, Maya Lila.
Hello.
And this show is really about nothing. It's an opportunity for me and Maya to hang out and just kind of talk about whatever we want to talk about.
Nothing and everything.
Nothing and everything, and nothing is serious. So we want to put that out there.
And everything is serious.
Yeah. You pick your side or walk the middle path, whatever you want to do. But, so yeah. And also, a new thing that we're doing today is we are live streaming on Periscope. And, which is really cool. I've been like Periscope crazy the last few days and really enjoying it. If you don't know what Periscope is, it's a smartphone app that allows us to live stream video. And then you can watch it later on. I think there's like a 24-hour time limit, or maybe we can save them as well. But essentially, it's just an opportunity to watch live video feed. And so we are doing that today. If you have Periscope, or if you don't, you can download it to your smartphone. Search Tiger Singleton or the @ Tigmonk, Tigmonk, and you should be able to find it that way. And go ahead and follow me, and then you'll get a notification anytime I go live, which I've been doing pretty much every day. Even as I drove over here, I did a 20-minute little BS session.
And I just have to say, you sprung this on me when you walk in. And so, like, my hair is doing whatever it's doing today, and I didn't have any makeup on. And then for a second, I was like, should I put makeup on? People are going to be watching. And I was like, I checked my intuition. It was like, no. Yeah. And I was like, okay, good.
And I totally forgot that we were filming, and I was just totally scratching myself. There's a camera. I'm sitting here adjusting everything, and
and we're on the couch, and it's fall is coming, so I'm all snuggled up in the blanket. Tiger has a blanket, but he's not using it yet.
No, but I'm wearing like this sweater,
yeah,
which is so new right now.
Yeah.
It's cold as shit outside.
Somebody said the other day on Facebook that it's not that there's a certain season that she likes, but she likes the transition, like from summer to fall, or fall to winter. Maybe not that one so much, but like, winter to spring. And it's the transitions that are the juicy parts.
Yeah.
Because it's new and it's exciting, and it was so hot this summer. It's like over 100 degrees.
Yeah. And
all of a sudden it's in the 60s and it's raining, and it's like, oh, it's so nice,
Yeah, I can appreciate that. I'm not a fan of the fall to winter.
Yeah, I guess that one's probably the least fun.
That's like,
unless you're a ski crazy person,
right?
who
Which
wants
I'm not.
snow. Yeah,
no.
I'm not really either.
No, I don't see many black people playing in the snow.
Well, then that's with a couple things, like swimming.
Yeah.
They say, and then skiing, I guess. And then Burning Man. I saw this article about how Burning Man's not, there's not that many minorities at Burning Man, and how it's a problem. And I'm like, do you have to make everything into like this problem and a political statement? It's like...
Well, it's funny because the mind does it. It looks at the situation, and then it immediately starts looking for problems.
Yeah. And criticize. Yeah. What's wrong with it?
Yeah. Some way that I can validate myself as having an answer.
Yeah.
See, I found a problem. And that's kind of an interesting topic to go into, or did you have something that was kind of burning for you that you wanted to talk about?
No, let's go into that.
I think it's like a really fascinating movement of the mind to step beside and watch how it's like you wake up in the morning and the mind immediately starts looking for problems.
Yeah.
It doesn't look for gratitude. And this is just conditioning that happens. It's like we wake up and we ask the question, how fast can I stress myself out?
Yeah.
When really it's like you open your eyes and it's a whole new life. It's a whole new reality.
Yeah.
And you really have an opportunity to start focusing on something new.
Yeah, infinite potential.
Yeah, really infinite potential, but we're so conditioned to carry the story.
Yeah.
It's like we wake up and then we remember yesterday and then assume that we have to live from yesterday.
Yeah, in a continuous line that never changes.
Yeah. And I think from like a point of creation, what I recognize in my own experience or how I observe this happening is it's like a film strip. You know, it's just a bunch of pictures. And what gives it animation is the movement, the illusion of time.
Yeah.
And so from what I see is consciousness within is taking a picture in every moment. And that picture with the illusion of time starts creating the reality.
Because there's now.
Yeah. And so it's like if you switch that picture to an abundant picture, then that slowly starts to create a different image. Reflected in reality. But it's like we don't recognize that we have that ability to switch our attention to something more joyful. It's like we're locked into a stress vibration and we can't get out.
Yeah, it's like the film reel. Like, what film are you playing?
Yeah, and you can just switch it out.
Yeah, and Bashar talks about that, like, jumping to different realities, basically, like, parallel realities, and you can choose, like, if you're a smoker and you want to quit, just jump to the reality where you never smoked and you have no craving.
Yeah.
You know, and playing with that idea, I think, is fascinating that everything's in our mind, and it's all perception, and so why can't you just make up a new reality and live in that one?
Yeah, and I can understand the hesitancy that just really wants to argue with that. It's almost like it's a way of declaring that we're not good enough. We'll just automatically assume, oh, that's not real, that's not true.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah,
it wouldn't work.
And we just go back to the limitation.
Yeah,
it's like we're almost afraid of our own power to discover that we're actually creating this reality.
Yeah, well, and the limitation is safe and comfortable.
Yeah.
Because you know it and you've lived through it, so you know it and it's easy.
It's kind of like staying in a relationship that doesn't feel like it's resonant or with the flow, but it's safe and it's what's familiar, so we don't want to look outside of that.
Well, it's even like what I was just talking with you about. I might move to another friend's house. I'm living with my aunt right now, and even that idea, it's like kind of scary. Like, oh, well, what if that place isn't as good as where I am now, or what if I don't like it, or what if, you know, my aunt gets mad, or all these silly things, which are just silly. And even if I don't like it, then I just come back. You know, like they're all meaningless and just silly.
Yeah.
But my mind is like, oh, let's freak out about this possible change in our life. It's not even a big deal at all.
Yeah, and I see that as like this beautiful opportunity to allow that to happen and then extend love.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like you can anticipate it. Like if a change is coming, it's like, okay, this is going to happen. This is going to go down.
Yeah.
And so when you like stand beside it and kind of know this is going to unfold, then you kind of are prepared a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I know what the truth is. I know that these thoughts are going to come in. And so I'm going to allow them to play out, but also know the truth and just offer up as much love as I possibly can.
Yeah.
It's called, what's that, like foreshadowing?
Foreshadowing?
You heard that term before? Foreshadowing?
In like a novel. Where
it's like
anticipate.
you anticipate. And I think there's like some value there to like foreshadow love.
Yeah.
Even I used to have like this little practice where before I would engage in a new environment or a new circumstance, I would just do a quick little visualization of my preference of how it would unfold.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you just kind of bring yourself back to a more loving vibration that foreshadows something wonderful. Even if it doesn't happen, you're still kind of switching the frequency a little bit.
Yeah, so you're not going in with the fear of the negative expectation of what your mind is creating, the worst case scenario of happening.
Yeah, you just become open to a pleasant experience or a beautiful discovery, but ultimately still open for anything to happen.
That's nice. That's probably just a good practice, a way to stay open in general, instead of closing down.
Yeah.
And going back into the limitation fear. Paradigm.
Yeah, and I noticed that too before I give talks sometimes. There's just like this recognition that opens up to a willingness for beauty to be seen. I don't know how it's going to look, but it's just like an availability within myself to see the beauty and let life take care of everything else. Yeah. And to know that no matter how it ends up, that's how it's supposed to go. Yay. Oh, one cool feature about the Periscope thing is as people are watching, they can give you hearts. And the hearts like add up. It's like every time you touch the screen, a heart pops up. Okay. And then these like add up under your account. Okay. And it like increases the popularity. Okay. Yeah. And so like the more
people can just like sit there and like
and I got people to do it. Let's see it. Anybody? We might not even be live anymore. I don't know if this thing's working. Oh, yeah. The hearts are going off. Okay. Oh, I can't see it because the...
the tripod is in the way?
Yeah, tripods. Yeah. But the hearts are all different colors and whatnot. And it's a fun little...
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So it's in a way, it's proof that people are actually engaged.
Yeah.
They're touching it. It's not just playing and then they set it down and walked away.
Yeah. And then also, it's like when I'm close up to the camera, the hearts are on the side of my face, so I'll just like start licking hearts.
Yeah.
And like sticking my tongue out and lick the hearts as they go by. And apparently the audience likes that. So.
It's like you're a video game.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. They can influence my movement and my content with their hearts. And it's cool that we can set it up like this because we can just encourage them to start giving a bunch of hearts.
Yeah.
Oh, and what's also cool is when people watch it later, they can see all these comments that are coming up.
Oh, that's cool.
It's like, because as people log on, it shows, their handle.
Yeah.
And then they can ask questions or make comments and you can engage them. And it's a really fun platform.
That's interesting. Yeah, it sounds like they've made it, in a game-like, but then so it's kind of like a community thing.
Yeah.
Like a group interaction.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's interesting. Technology.
Woo woo.
It's fascinating.
All right. So I completely forgot what we were talking about. Or if we want to...
I don't remember now, but one thing I was kind of thinking about as a topic today was kind of touching on what we talked about last week. How from the outside we look at people who are successful and we say, "Oh, these are the steps to success."
Right.
Whereas I think what happens really is that they're following their heart and their like internal drive to do what they really want to do, and that's what becomes successful.
Yeah.
And just thinking about the releasing of the shame and guilt when you're not doing what you think you're supposed to be doing or taking the steps or being self-disciplined and all of those games we play. I was talking with a friend yesterday who's also a mother, and she was saying how hard it's been for her to her intuition just tells her to be present with her kid and not work right now, not do a bunch of stuff. And it's like this struggle of like, okay, well, do I just do what I feel like doing, or am I supposed to be doing all this other stuff?
Right. And I think that's great. I think it's a beautiful reflection of my experience, how even now I still feel real clueless about what to do or what direction to go as it relates to like the practical surface level actions or tasks.
Yeah.
And the whole story behind my experience has been one of not knowing. And also like questioning that. It's like, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing enough?
Yeah.
But then amazing things happen, and it's just like this reminder of, oh yeah, this isn't up to me.
Yeah.
And my only responsibility is to follow the joy. And it's amazing how more concrete that becomes with each passing day as life continues to show the miraculous nature.
Yeah.
It's like, just stay with the heart, man. Just stay with the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching this video with Kyle Cease. I think he's like he's a comedian, but he's doing transformational comedy. So it's kind of like inspirational, spiritual stuff.
Yeah.
And he talks about how the only thing he's selling is his connection with himself.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I love that. That really anybody, again, who's successful or famous or is doing the things that they love, they're just connected with themselves.
Yeah.
And that's what people want as an inspiration. You can't tell somebody how to connect with themselves because it's going to be their story.
Right.
But that's what he's selling. He's connected with himself. People feel that. And they're like, what are you doing? How'd you get there?
Yeah.
And then you think of other successful people like Oprah or Steve Jobs. Like, they were connected with themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really great.
Yeah.
Because...
And that's what you're doing.
Well, yeah, and it's like when I go and give a talk, I really feel like I'm just talking to my own experience.
Yeah.
And what I'm sharing, I feel like I'm sharing with myself. Yeah. And other people are resonating, in their own way. And that's the gift, is like they're just seeing something inside themselves as I'm sharing what I see inside myself. Mm-hmm. And so there isn't this movement that feels like I have to convince anybody or make them understand. Mm-hmm. It's just, no, I'm just investigating my own heart. And because we're one, and because we're the same in that way, just a human being, we're going to discover how similar we are. And
the more honest and authentic you can get to your experience, the truth of your experience, the more it's going to resonate because it's the same as everybody else's, really. Yeah. Fundamentally.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that's funny, is that we think sharing, the really personal, raw, vulnerable things about ourselves is like, oh, it's risky, but it's like, actually that stuff is what everybody else has in common. And like, it's this amazing, like, again, a paradox of like, you think it's, oh, nobody else is going to understand this, but they do.
Yeah. And that's what I find too. It's like the more I allow myself to be myself, then the more I connect with people. The more people come around to play, because again, it reminds them of their own freedom, their own liberation. And that's connection too, and that's what they appreciate. That's what they connect to, is the authenticity that they desire for their own experience. Again, their own internal game that's happening. Yeah.
So it goes back to authenticity. Again, authenticity. That's like
woot woot.
one of my favorite words.
And we see those messages coming up on Periscope, but I'm too far away from the phone to see that. So, sorry, y'all. Oh, maybe it's not even a question. It could just be a fantastic comment.
Yeah. So so the recording will show all the comments later?
Yeah.
Did you rewatch it?
Yeah, which I think is the cool part, because it's like I get to have this dance with them as I'm live.
Yeah.
It's not just me talking to a camera.
Yeah.
There's like this engagement that's happening.
Cool.
And that's, I really like that. And then also the only people that can chat, from what I understand, or it's a setting, are the people that you're following.
Okay.
And so it's not just random people.
That's nice too, because that crossed my mind.
Yeah.
I was like, what if somebody just writes some...
Well, no, they will. They'll put dick jokes or something in there, Talk about your wiener.
Yeah.
Which may not be appropriate for the format. But, so, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, our friend is a teacher, and they're using Chromebooks in the classroom, and it's like this. It's like all the kids can type commentary. I don't totally understand what's going on, but apparently like it's a live thing that's projected, and then everybody can type their stuff. So yeah, but they're in the classroom, so I don't really understand. But anyways, one of the kids, is like, I'm gay. I want everybody to know, and she handled it really well. She's like, this is a teachable moment. And like, she kind of outlined like, this is not appropriate for, like, this is regarding your sexuality. We're having a discussion about English literature. It doesn't have any,
Right.
But, it was just interesting that it's technology, but it's the same as like a kid will do in a class anyways, and it's all the same.
Well, see, and I like that you bring that up, because it goes into this judgment that we tend to have about technology, or even the amount of time we spend on Facebook. It's like, and it's such a pervasive judgment. And you see all these memes, taking photos of people on their phone and comparing it to 1955 or something like that.
Well, and judging the people based on 1 second that you saw them on their phone.
Yeah. And the way that I just kind of see this is that this is just the time we're in.
Yeah.
I mean, when you introduce a badass technology that captures people's attention, then this is just what happens. And I really don't understand the judgment that says it shouldn't be that way, or any of that, or that
it goes back to finding something wrong.
True
story.
You gotta
find something
even
wrong.
from like a spiritual perspective. It's like, oh, this is so bad.
Well, yeah, and that's what my friend and I talked about. She was like, we're talking about being on Facebook all the time, and I was like, okay, first, because I've gone through that. Okay, do I Facebook too much? Some people are like, oh, you're on Facebook too much, and I'm like, well, who gets to judge? Number one, who gets to decide what is too much and not enough?
Yeah.
But then also, I get messages from people, and they're like, you know what? I go to your page, and it's really uplifting and inspirational. I love your posts and da da da. So I get positive feedback too.
That's
and
great.
then she was saying, that sometimes she's afraid, because she has a lot of very spiritual friends. She's a yoga instructor, and she's afraid sometimes that her spiritual friends will like judge her for her posts that are not totally spiritual or something like that. And I was like, well, your spiritual friends, if they're really spiritual, don't care, because like, they're not going to be affected by it, and they will just honor you for you.
Yeah.
And so that's the other thing too, is again, going back to that whole spiritual thing. I feel like if you're really spiritual, then you're not judging anything, because it's all spiritual. Yeah. In a way. It's not, we're not religious with laws and dogma and ideology. We're just recognizing the spirit in everything and God in everything. Yeah.
That's like the other side of that is the spiritual persona.
Yeah.
That wants to match spirituality with an image.
Yeah.
And so we look
purity,
at and we look at everything as like, is that spiritual? I don't know. But and I actually, and this is all part of following the flow and the heart. I think it was 3 months ago. I was investigating my own conflict with as much as I was on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, is this really what I want to be doing with my time? Mm-hmm. Because again, it is, I'm by myself or whatever, and I'm staring at this little tiny screen. Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, the authentic question was, am I enjoying myself? Mm-hmm. Is the enjoyment happening? Yeah. Regardless of what the surface looks like, is there authentic joy? And there was. But yet there's other people around me who perceive that I'm not in joy or something, or that I'm not being human, or whatever.
You're not entertaining them.
Exactly. That's really what it comes down to.
You're not doing song and dance while they're sitting in the coffee shop with you.
Because I kind of had a beautiful conversation with somebody about like their concern.
Yeah.
With as much as I'm on Facebook. Yeah. And I could see like from their perspective, there was like this real concern that I was missing out on something. Mm-hmm. But I don't feel that way. Yeah. But I can understand how somebody else could be on Facebook from that perspective. Yeah. And so our concern for another is a reflection of the concern we have for our own life. Yeah. Yeah. And it's really, really interesting too, because you investigate your own space and it's like, is this authentic for me? Yeah. Regardless of what anybody else thinks, is there joy here? And through that decision to recognize my own joy, not only that, but I had more fun because I even deepened the permission that I had. Yeah. And then in a way that's given birth to this whole new Facebook phenomenon with the no words and my videos being shared all over. And so it's almost like the new activity on Facebook with the new audience is a reflection of my permission to just have a good time.
It's awesome.
Yeah. But there are moments, where it's like I'm with another person. Yeah. And then, okay, I'm not interested in that right now. Yeah. I want to connect.
I think it's always good to question it. Yeah. Like, question everything, but question, okay, like, am I actually enjoying this, or am I feeling anxiety because I'm avoiding something else, and so I'm on Facebook, like, trying to feel better, or like, it's always good to question it. Yeah. But that's great that you did question it, and then it made the experience deeper for you.
Yeah. And then, like you said, it's like people get to visit your wall and get uplifted. And they get to share that love. They send you messages and say thank you. And it's like, oh, that's not real. It's in, in technology. It's like, I don't care about any of that.
Well, and again, this is the conversation with my friend. I was like, we're basically cementing the reality that we want to be living in. Like, even sharing the spiritual shit on Facebook, we're putting it out there, and people that are exposed, when you're exposed to an idea, it becomes normal. Yeah. And so if everybody on Facebook is talking about how we're all divine incarnations and spirituality and trust in the universe, that's going to become our realities that we're living in.
Oh my goodness. That's so fun. I'm so glad we're talking about this. Yeah. Right. Because I've been like wanting to do one of my little videos about this subject. I just haven't yet. But so great to finally get into this content. Yeah. Because I can sense that there's a lot of concern over the judgment because it's still fun. Yeah. It's kind of like sex. It can be a really good time, but you could inhibit that good time because of all the judgment. Yeah. About it's not definitely pure. It's not in marriage. All these things
I shouldn't be doing this. Yeah. Yeah. And again, I think it comes down to questioning, like, is this what I want to be doing with my time? If it's not, then maybe you don't. But if it is, then enjoy it to the fullest,
Yeah, and that's all it is recognizing, is this really resonant?
Yeah. And with me and what I want, not with what anybody else thinks.
Oh, that's so great. There's so much liberation there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. 0 fucks given.
0 fucks given. 0 fucks! Oh, that reminds me of that meme. Is that what you're referencing? Oh God, I forget it, but it was like something about how many fucks did I give? I'm not even trying to recite it, but somebody knows what I'm talking about out there. There's a meme that references giving 0 fucks, and I laughed my ass off when I saw it. Yeah, Oh, there's another one. There's a little Geico lizard. Yeah, and he says, "I saved 100% on stress by switching to not giving a fuck."
Oh, I like that. That's a good one too.
Yeah, that's so great. I love that kind of attitude that just throws your hands up in the air and it's just like, fuck it.
Which again, sometimes there's the judgment of like, oh, well, you don't care, like then you just don't care about anything and you're selfish or whatever. And it's like, well, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Is there anything wrong with that?
Yeah. Is there anything?
The world's gonna end. It's like, well, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, and again, what we're not giving a fuck about is the mental noise. Yeah. About the future, which is not helpful anyways. Exactly. Yeah. And so that's what we're giving over our fucks to. Yeah. Or giving away our fucks to. Yes. I'm really enjoying this subject. I get to cuss a lot. But we are surrendering all the noise. Yeah. And then coming back to the moment, just saying fuck everything. Yeah. And I remember like lots of moments in my life where I would just do that. where everything just seemed kind of stressful. And it was like, you know what? This is just stupid. Why am I sitting here thinking about something that's not happening, that's not true, that's probably not even going to turn out that way?
It's not making you feel good.
No, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And so why am I giving a fuck about that?
Yeah.
And again, when you stop giving fucks, then you really allow yourself permission to enjoy.
Yeah.
And it's the vibration of joy that's actually doing the creating anyway.
And is the most beneficial thing, I think, that you can do for the world is to be in your joy.
Absolutely.
Whatever that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And joy being a recognition that all is well, which also gives you the allowance to be with joy even if there's sadness.
Yeah.
Which is to not give a fuck if anyone cares if I'm sad.
Right.
I'm just going to enjoy this flow that's happening.
Yeah.
Not necessarily relating joy to the state of being happy.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But just the, it's like this middle path of where I'm just going to be present. And for me, that's joy, is just when I'm fully allowing myself to be here and letting, letting life be life.
Yeah. Feel everything, experience everything without the resistance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, without the resistance.
Yeah.
Whoo.
Yeah, we were having a dinner conversation last night. We had a little mini dinner party here, and like Jesus came up, and so some people were talking about Jesus, and then some people talking about sex addiction and God, and I was like, well, what if God is in the sex addiction too? Like, what if that's God too? And they're like, oh yeah, that's a good point. And, you know, just that, again, like taking away all of the separation between everything, and like, it's all good, and it's all, you know, working out, and it's all in the flow, and it's all life experiencing life, and the universe experiencing the universe. Yeah. And it's all everything, you know, and it's all nothing.
I did like an hour-long Periscope video today, and one of the topics that came up was, how do you follow your path even if you have addiction? Which kind of like assuming that you can't be the fullness of you if you have addiction. And kind of what came up for me was looking at my own life and seeing that I'm full of addiction. You know, to some degree, we're all addicted to something. I think the question is there judgment for it, or is there resistance? Because again, we have this mental idea that says, okay, if I'm going to be a good person, then I can't do this and I can't do that, which is just the conditioned idea of what a person should be, which isn't in alignment with the natural you, which maybe the natural you just has that going on. And
I consider it self-care.
If
you need to drink a bottle of wine every night, then maybe it's self-care, and that's exactly what you should be doing for yourself. You know?
And as we allow that to play out and let the judgment and resistance fall away, we see new sides of it. It's like we open up to get insight about it, which may or may not lead in a different direction. But again, you're moving without the resistance of it. And I kind of like look at my experience from being a drug addict on meth and cocaine, and now someone wants to judge me for enjoying tobacco. It's like, go screw yourself. I don't really care. You know?
I used to be that person. Like there was somebody in my life, and he didn't do anything, but he would drink soda, and I was like, oh my god, you're drinking soda. That's horrible. Soda's so bad for you. But he wasn't doing, he wasn't doing crystal meth.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny. And see, and that's such a great example too, because there's like a real thought or a real judgment that believes that's really bad. It's like you're really doing something wrong. And that play of judgment is the same judgment against everything.
Heroin and soda. It's the same judgment.
Oh my goodness.
That's wrong.
And how much more can you love someone when you don't care?
Oh my god, so much more. Now I have that in my life. I have someone in my life that I just love unconditionally, no matter what he does. And like, some people might say he's addicted to this or that, but I'm just like, who fucking cares? Like, he can do that as much as he wants because he's a free person and he's on his path, and so what, you know? And it is so liberating.
Oh, because again, when we judge somebody like that, we're saying that we need them to be a certain way. Oh my god, that's so like, that's so liberating.
It's not even love.
That's
it's
not love.
It's manipulation. Because you want them to do something so that you can love them, so you can be happy based on their actions.
I don't want other people to know that I'm with someone that drinks soda. That's totally going to make me not look like a spiritual person, so I need you to change. Oh goodness, that's so great. And all this is like an invitation to love yourself. Because if you're judging other people, then you're just judging yourself and putting it on others. And so let this insight that's being explored now be an opportunity to lay down our judgment on ourselves and just realize that we're fucking human beings.
Yeah. And it's okay.
And just be a human being.
Yeah.
And I think our effort to hide from that humanness is what makes it all difficult.
Yeah.
It's like we don't want to come out into the sunshine until we put our makeup on.
Yeah.
Not realizing that life doesn't give a shit if you got makeup on or not. Life just wants to see your pretty face. Yeah. However it shows up.
And wants to feel the sunshine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, go out and dance, man. Oh my goodness, I'm feeling so good right now.
That's because we're free.
Yeah,
Zero
I know.
fucks.
I love it. 0 fucks. We've been talking about... Have you been keeping up? I'm going off subject, but have you been keeping up with the team for the School of Blooming?
I saw your post about the team. I was very excited for you, but I don't know.
Well, we've got like an official business manager that's taking on that aspect and helping us establish a business. And we also have this lawyer friend in Canada who reached out, who's like this crazy professional that wants to help us establish the business plan and, create the foundation and the structure.
Amazing.
It is so amazing. And let me tell you the story about this business manager, because this is great. It's like the universe picked her automatically. And again, who knows what the future holds? But
it's fun in the now.
It's so much fun. How I put this this post out on Tigmonk and Friends group. If you don't know about it, search Facebook for Tigmonk and Friends, and you can join. It's a closed group, but I'll let you play if you play nice. And I put this post out saying, I just really appreciate the support and how it's clear that we need a team and management and all that. And so she sends me this email. Saying that she had just got done telling her friend that she should work for Tigmonk and just take over the business end to help spread love around the world. And she was like, oh my God. And then I saw that post and she told her friend, should I just send him an email?
Yeah.
And she did.
Yeah.
And then not only that, Maya, when I responded, she's from Southern California, I think, or California somewhere. She was driving up to Oregon and she was 40 minutes away.
What?
When I emailed her back.
Oh my God.
And so she stopped. Yeah, she stopped.
Oh my God,
she
amazing.
stopped and we met and she was totally badass. And it was like, oh hell yeah, you can party with us. And just totally resonant. And so she was doing some sort of house selling thing up by the coast somewhere. I guess she also does real estate. But she left her corporate gig in the banking industry and, just is like, that's not resonant anymore. I got to find something new. And so she's like switching over to this full time.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so we met up for just a short while, touch base, connected eyeballs, connected heart space. She went up and did that thing, came back the next day, met up with Ashley, who's our social media manager.
Nice.
And we just developed like this kick-ass plan of what we're going to do.
That's so exciting.
Yeah. And it's so badass. Oh, and then on Monday, I have a phone Skype session with an organization from the Netherlands who organizes retreats and all this stuff kind of around Europe or wherever. And they want to investigate bringing the sharing out to the Netherlands as soon as June 2016.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah,
so
it's so crazy, man.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, and so it's funny because what came up for me... Oh, there's a pillow over me. So when I saw your thing about like, I found team members, and then of course my ego's like, oh shit. Like, because we had talked about working together, and you were like, oh, do you want to handle my social media? And I checked my intuition, because I've done that in the past for work, and I'm kind of working it right now, but not really. And I have a 1-year-old daughter. And so when you asked me that, my intuition was like, no. And I was like, really? Because like, I love you and I love working with you. And it's like, but it's a great opportunity. It's an alignment. But it's just, I have a daughter and I don't have the time or energy, like while she's napping, we record these.
Right.
And so, but it's just this kind of like battle of like, oh, I should do this because it's a good opportunity or because whatever.
Yeah.
And then saying no to that and following my truth is like, it's great, but it's also scary because it's like, oh, well then what if I miss out and what if, da 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 da. But it was so good for me to like process that and then also see how it's working out perfectly with people who are ready and have the, can just do it instead of me trying to force myself to do it and then procrastinating and not doing it, and like all the stuff that you end up doing when you don't follow your truth.
And I'll have to tell you, when you told me no, I was so stoked.
Yeah.
I was like, I fell in love with you so much more because it's very common for people to just jump on something when they don't kind of investigate their own flow because they're afraid of missing out. Yeah. And so I so appreciated the authority within your own space to not feel like a need and just trust that.
And that's real friendship. Because the other side would be like, oh, well, if I say no to this part, then he'll be like, fuck you. I'm not going to do the podcast.
Fuck you.
Because you'd be like trying to manipulate me. You know, and then there's all those games that people play that are based on not being authentic or honest at all. And so that's so beautiful. Yeah,
it could be like, fuck you, I'm not doing the podcast then.
Yeah. Because you won't do the social media even though you don't want to, and you're not going to do it very well because you don't want to do it. Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, and that's a really great place to explore just the authenticity of moving in a direction that feels good rather than from a space of deficiency that feels like it's going to miss out. Because if you're really trying to have authentic connections with people, then that's what's going to connect. Yeah. Not you appeasing them.
Yeah.
Because
you feel like you should.
Yeah. But you just being authentic from a loving space. Yeah. That's what like builds bonds and builds deep connections.
Yeah. And they're real connections because they're based on truth rather than lies and bullshit and trying to make things work because you're afraid. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, cheers to that shit.
So I would say, you know, just say no. If you don't want to do something, just say no instead of saying yes out of fear. Because that never ends well. Yeah. I mean, it's a learning experience.
Yeah. But and you can't go wrong.
Yeah. That's true.
You can't and if you can't go wrong.
Because you'll learn.
Then you might as well just start with sincerity. Yeah. Because that's what you're always going to come back to anyway. Yeah. And if you trust the sincerity, there's just such this fantastic freedom to not. It's like when you move in dishonesty, you always have to remember the lie. Because it's not in alignment with the truth. The truth is super easy to remember. Yeah. And so when you're moving in dishonesty, it's like you're always juggling these false pretenses so that you make sure you don't lose support. Yeah. But when you realize the universe is your support, then you can just totally be honest and trust, which sends out this fantastic communication with life that you're on board to be unified in a way.
And then you're in your track of where you want to go, really authentically, most joyfully, instead of like going in these other tracks that are not really what you want to be doing, but maybe are close, you know? Yeah. Because I feel like that's what we end up doing too a lot. It's like doing these other things that we don't really want to be doing.
Absolutely. And how much time and energy do we, as human beings, spend time doing shit we don't really want to be doing? It really cracks me up. I mean, especially like in the job world. I remember myself, you know, working in an office, and it was such a battle. It was like
I always hated corporate office jobs.
I really believed that I had to go.
Yeah.
And that's all it is a belief.
Well, that's what we teach our children by forcing them to go to school every day for 12 years.
Oh my God.
Do what you don't want to do all day, every day. You have no choice.
And then someday. You'll be happy.
Someday you'll be happy.
Someday you'll figure it out.
Right before you die.
Right.
Once you're retired and you have money and you're not doing anything. Yeah. Like, what does it mean?
And that's really all it is just a lack belief or a limitation belief that we identify with. It's like we believe we are that limitation. And I know from my own experience how that just kind of cracks open and you see this little light of opportunity or potential and you just like investigate it. It's like, ooh, what is that? Yeah. I could see this freedom. I can see this truth being pointed to, and I want to see that more deeply. And then the more you dive into that, then this limitation falls away. You start taking more risks, but from a space of love. And then you see little by little how life's supporting you. And that just builds this beautiful trust. And and so you move forward in faith, just trusting that it's going to work out, even though we don't know what that's going to look like.
Yeah. And then even when things seem to go wrong, I still trust that it's going right in ways that I just don't see yet. Yeah. Which I think too is important because people are like, oh, well, I tried that and it went wrong. And it's like, well, like, you're still alive. You're not dead yet. So there's more to the story.
Absolutely. This is becoming my favorite episode. I'm so enthused about this one.
Yeah. Every episode is my favorite.
I know.
So I saw something about transcribing. You're going to find somebody to transcribe? Because I would love to.
Are you volunteering?
No. I mean, I want to, but obviously we're on episode 13 now, and I haven't. I tried once. But again, I have a 1-year-old. If I didn't have a 1-year-old, then maybe I could just sit all day and type. But it's just not for me right now, no.
Yeah, well, another member of our team that showed up was another friend from Canada who has offered to do a number of tasks, and one of them is translate into Spanish and Italian.
Fun.
I think she speaks 3 languages.
Nice.
Like real fluently.
Yeah.
And so not only that, but she's compiling a list for us right now of potential interviewees.
Yeah.
Who can interview the sharing of what's happening.
Nice.
So we can like reach out to them and let them know, we're available for whatever.
That's great.
So it's so amazing. People from all over are just like, I got time. What do you need me to do? And it's really, really fascinating. Blows my mind, but makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay for alignment.
Yeah, when are you going to meet Lila Massé and have your interview with her?
I don't know anything about that.
Oh my God. Okay.
What?
She's this woman. She's been doing spirituality interviews on YouTube for, I don't know how long, 5 years or something. Uh-huh. And she's interviewed Brian. Uh-huh. And he was, because when I Googled him, I was like, oh, cool, he's been interviewed by Lila. But she's talked to, like, everybody across the board. Like, maybe, I don't know, she's Eckhart Tolle. Maybe that's one that she hasn't. But,
any black people?
I'd have to look and see.
I'm just joking.
Wait, let me think.
Make sure I got an in.
You might be your ticket.
Yes.
Your ticket.
I'm a minority. You've got to interview me.
Now I'm going to have to find one for you and I'll send it to you. But she's super awesome. And it's just, she's traveled around the world interviewing everybody that she could find that speaks about consciousness and love and spirituality. And I was like, oh gosh, Tiger's totally going to be interviewed by her.
Yeah. And that's great. And the way that I see that playing out is just people tell, these people that are already plugged into their audiences. And I mean, that's kind of how it happens. People start requesting, oh, you need to talk to this guy, this guy, this guy. Yeah. And that gets their attention. Yeah. But I'm not one for myself to be like, interview me.
Well, I checked in with my intuition because I was like, should I send some stuff to Lila? And it's like, nope. And I was like, okay, good. I don't want to do anything then.
Somebody else will. You got the intuition thing going on for you.
Well, that was the other interesting thing about my personal journey with my intuition and following my intuition, which doesn't always, for me, my intuition isn't always about my highest joy in the moment, because sometimes it tells me to do the thing that I don't really want to do, or tells me not to do the thing that I do want to do. Like even working with you, I was like, oh, that'd be fun, because I like Tiger, I like working with him. But it's actually having me work with somebody else who is more challenging for me, which that was another part of something I kind of figured out this last week, is that like with you, like you're awesome and I love you and I have so much fun and I think you spread so much profound wisdom, but my bigger teachers are the people that are more challenging for me to like deal with, you know, the people that annoy the shit out of me. Yeah. And because they cause me to open more, because then I see like, okay, I'm withholding my love here, or like this is bothering the shit out of me. What am I judging about myself that I'm projecting onto that person, you know, and like working through all that shit. And so, so it's because I do believe in the highest joy, but then I've also been working with the intuition for the last 2 years, which doesn't always in the moment follow the highest joy, most exciting thing. But I think it will lead me to my highest joy. Yeah, I totally see that. And I think it's part of working out my shit without going down the negative route of like doing like, you know, psychoanalytic work or something. Yeah. But well, it's almost like you're acknowledging an interest in growth. Yeah. Rather than an interest in the ignorance of what feels like it wants to grow. Yeah. Because that's going to come around sooner or later. Yeah. And so you might as well just go after it. Yeah. Sometimes, yeah. And the bravery there, I see is joyful as well in its own ways. I love the bravery, the courage, and like the challenge of it. Yeah. Even though in some ways it's like this weird, I don't know, I haven't quite figured it out yet. Because it's joyful sometimes, but not all the time. Sometimes it's just irritating or scary. I find that like in a relationship. Yeah. Like if you make a decision to be in a monogamous, committed whatever, then it's almost like there's this bravery that's willing to investigate. And I'm even experiencing that in my own life right now with the playful decision to be in a monogamous relationship. Can I tell you, on Facebook, I went to add Kelly to something, and then like she didn't come up, and I was like, did she unfriend me? And then I went and looked at her page, and it still said friend request pending. Because for a second I was like, oh my god, did they break up? Like maybe they broke up, and then she unfriended me.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
What's happening with that is she's getting so many friends requests, and she doesn't want to do that with her personal page.
Yeah, I get that.
And
that's what I figured too. I was like, oh, she just got a bunch.
But if I mention it, I know that she'd connect.
She doesn't have to be my friend on Facebook. It was funny how my train of thought ran like, oh, she unfriended me. Maybe she and Tiger broke up. And then like, uh-oh, like what happened? Yeah. And like it makes this whole story. But then I was like, oh no, that's not the truth.
That's so much fun. Oh, yeah, I think it's funny too with as much as I've posted that all over Facebook about us being together in a relationship, and then, the future's a fucking mystery, so I think it would be pretty comedy if we did break up.
That's what I thought. Like, I was like, what if they did break up? And then I would still be happy that you guys dove in and went for it, even if it only lasted for 2 weeks, because I feel like that's what you should do, is just dive in and not have the, like, play it safe and don't tell too many people, because then if we break up, then we'll look like failures.
There's so much beauty here, because in our experience of diving in, we've both like discovered a lot about ourselves, like in a really beautiful way of just opening up our own hearts. It's almost like laying down your insecurity because you feel so much love. And so it's like, I'm just going to embrace this in myself. Because this other person has this authentic love and is willing to hold space for that. And so
that's powerful.
Yeah, it really is. But that happens because there's a willingness to fall in rather than playing it safe. It's like, oh, I don't know if I want to talk about me taking a shit because they might not like that.
But they might leave.
But then there's just the human honesty of being a human being and feeling a safe space to let that be explored. So,
Yeah, there's a quote, I think it's Lao Tzu, but I'm not sure, but being loved deeply gives you strength, and loving someone deeply gives you courage. Or there's something like that.
Yeah.
And that dynamic of like how, we're not talking about like, oh, you need to be in a relationship or you need someone to love you, but when you do have somebody who's sharing that space of love for you, it can really give you this fertile ground to really open up and explore a lot of things that you might not even go into on your own necessarily. Yeah,
and I spoke a little bit answering a question to that on Periscope today about, like, what's the point of relationship? And really, I see that as just to offer reflection to see how you're withholding, to yourself.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, whether it's a tree, it's like you step outside and you're like, that fucking tree, I can't believe whatever. And it's like, no, that's just a reflection of how you're feeling about yourself right now. And so it's really not the tree at all. It's just showing you how you're not allowing love. And so same with other people. And then the intimate experiences we have with that kind of love, it like creates this safe space for you to really explore yourself. And if that's showing up, that's what that's for. But if it's not there, then it's not supposed to be there. And so not to create an expectation of, oh, I need that in order to explore myself.
It's that everything is reflection or projection. Comes back to that for me. And I think I've been thinking about that a lot, how, I can either, like, if I'm saying anything about anybody else, I'm projecting that. Because it's coming from my perception and my limitations and beliefs and judgments about myself, essentially. And so I've kind of been turning that around, like anything I say about anybody else, like, okay, well, how am I saying that about myself? And I'm projecting. And then the reflections are all the beauty that I see around me, or even people in my life that I'm like, oh my God, they're so amazing. Like the positive side of projection is the reflection. And if I'm seeing this amazing person, or like you're amazing, that's because it's reflecting back to me my amazingness. Yeah, and that's fun because I see that too. That's why I love coming to R&D. It's like I get to go see how amazing I am in Maya Lila's eyeballs. That's great. Wow, we've already passed our 45-minute mark. Okay.
That just kind of flew by.
I figured.
Yeah, but God, high five.
Yay!
What a great time and a great episode. And awesome to do this Periscope thing and let you guys participate in that live feed. And I think we're going to get this thing posted within the next couple days or relatively soon.
Does Periscope only last for a day or something?
I think it's 24 hours. I might be able to create a setting so it lasts longer.
Okay. Because we can link it to the podcast.
Oh, that would be cool.
People who listen to the podcast normally want to see the video.
Oh, yeah. The only kind of bummer thing about the Periscope video is you can't rewind or fast forward.
Okay.
You just have to watch it all the way through.
Okay.
And if you go off the screen and come back, you have to start over.
Okay.
And so that's just a little disclaimer there. But thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm like super giddy about how much fun I just had doing this.
That was fun. Maybe it was the energy from the Periscope.
Yeah, I think that helps too. Because I've noticed this is like when I turn the camera on, man, I just get fired up and I get all goofy as shit. And I like allowing myself to do that.
Yeah.
And oh God, so much I want to say about that, but next time. But thanks for hanging out with us. You can listen to these podcasts, tigmonk.com, Tigmonk. Follow us on Facebook. You can search Lila di Vento.
Yeah.
And these are on your YouTube channel
and
SoundCloud.
Yeah.
And so, lots of ways to get in touch with us and check out what we're doing. The Hawaii retreat, the annual retreat we're doing, is still on and cracking this year, December 13th through the 18th. Sign up now. There's still space available. You can learn more about that at tsb81.com/Hawaii, which we're actually changing the whole website structure. So that won't be valid in 60 days, but
they can find it.
For now, yeah.
And then what's the theme of the retreat?
The theme of the retreat is bloom into the authenticity of what you are, or bloom into the authentic you, which is going to kind of wrap around my book that I'm working on, which is called The One Relationship. And so we'll be looking at some really, really deep insight that will expose the true beauty of what you are and give yourself permission to play in this life.
Yay.
Aloha and cheers to the beauty that you already are.
Bye.
You've been listening to Spiritual Bullshit with Tigmonk and Lila. Learn more at tigmonk.com.